Exercise 1. Data science is one of the fastest-growing disciplines at the university level. We see more job postings that require training in data science, more academic appointments in the field, and more courses offered, both online and in traditional settings. It could be argued that data science is nothing novel, but just statistics through a different lens. What matters is that we are living in an era in which the kind of problems that could be solved using data are driving a huge wave of innovations in various industries, from healthcare to education and from finance to policymaking. More importantly, data and data analysis are playing an increasingly large role in our day-to-day life, including in our democracy. Thus, knowing the basics of data and data analysis has become a fundamental skill that everyone needs, even if they do not want to pursue a degree in computer science, statistics, or data science. Recognizing this, many educational institutions have started developing and offering not just degrees and majors in the field, but also minors and certificates in data science that are geared toward students who may not become data scientists but could still benefit from data literacy skills. Exercise 2. Bird watchers who start young are blessed with a recurrent source of joy that may last all their days. These bird lovers, as youths, got to train their brain while it was still fresh and efficient at data storage and retrieval, making the intricacies of identifying birds by sight and sound almost second nature. Others start the hobby in college with a course in ornithology, and still others do not begin until retirement, perhaps at the urging of a neighbor, a family member, or a friend. Today, the United States has an astonishing 45 million bird watchers. Most of them simply enjoy looking at birds in their yard, but 16 million travel to go birding. Bird hunters learn the types of game birds, not because they are in love with these beautiful birds, but because they want to make sure they are meeting all regulations on hunting. These bird lovers spend some $76 billion annually on their hobby, the same amount spent each year on fishing and hunting. Birding is big business and part of the fabric of our national recreational lifestyle. Exercise 3. Brown fat is a fundamental tissue in mammals that in the past was mostly understood as something that rodents used to help heat themselves during hibernation. The spongy, fatty tissue looks a lot like ordinary white fat that most mammals use to store excess caloric energy. But while white fat can serve as an insulator, brown fat can actively burn white fat to generate body heat. It's a mammalian tissue whose purpose is to make heat, or, in scientific terms, thermogenesis. In humans, however, brown fat was only considered important in newborns. The very first challenge that a human faces once it is born is the constant fight to keep a stable body temperature. Babies lose heat much faster than adults through their body surface. Unlike adults who can rapidly increase their core temperature through shivering, infants lack significant musculature and can't shiver themselves warm. Instead, they are usually born with a layer of chubby rolls of insulating white fat. When their core temperature begins to drop, brown fat turns on, sucks white fat from their system under the right circumstances, and releases heat energy. Exercise 4. The world has witnessed 3 distinct ages so far: the agrarian age, the industrial age, and now the information age. Globalization, rapid technological change, and the importance of knowledge in gaining and sustaining competitive advantage characterize this information age. Traditionally, economists have seen capital, labor, and natural resources as the essential ingredients for economic enterprise. In recent years, it has been noticed that the new economy of the 21st century is increasingly based on knowledge with information, innovation, creativity, and intellectual capitalism as its essential ingredients. The shift to a knowledge-based economy results largely from developments in information and communications technologies. The facility to communicate information instantaneously across the globe has changed the nature of competition. A company's knowledge assets are inherent in the creativity of its knowledge workers, combined with technological and market know-how. Information can now be delivered with such speed that companies must develop their knowledge assets to solve competitive problems. Exercises 5 and 6. There is an abundance of evidence that residents of communities with high crime and congested traffic and air pollution do not exercise as much for fear of being outside. When we are speaking of low socioeconomic communities, there may be another factor with negative impact: a lack of amenities that promote exercise, such as parks, bike paths, and community recreation centers. In addition, low socioeconomic communities may not have large supermarkets that sell healthy foods, thereby requiring residents to travel outside the community for healthy food choices. That necessitates time and travel costs not experienced by residents of wealthier communities. These are but a few examples of the barriers to health and wellness encountered by some of your fellow citizens. It would appear that there is not much any one of us can do to change this state of affairs. However, local leaders can be lobbied to create healthier communities. For example, during budget hearings, a group of residents can argue for a bike path to be built, or for leaders to negotiate with a large supermarket chain to open a store in the neighborhood, possibly offering them tax incentives to do so, or for making vans available at no cost to residents to transport those who need medical care to local clinics or hospitals. If you believe you have no control over factors that seem beyond your control, you will actually have no influence. If you refuse to accept this premise, you can be a contributor to the health of the community in which you live. Exercise 7. The beauty ideal is changing. Beauty is becoming more important, and as it does, so the beauty ideal is transforming into an ethical ideal. That appearance matters in a visual and virtual culture should not be surprising, yet the extent to which beauty matters defines meaning and identity, constructs the self, structures daily practices, and against which individuals are valued, or not, is well recognized. Too often beauty is dismissed as trivial fluff, changeable fashion, not a serious subject for academic, especially philosophical, study, nor, it is implied, is beauty something that serious people should take seriously. Whatever else beauty may be, it is serious stuff. It profoundly shapes our shared culture and individual practice, and is increasingly a dominant ethical ideal. Beauty matters to individuals as they navigate their lives. It matters because it makes lives go better or worse. It matters because it is something that very many of us spend time and money striving for. Exercise 8. Most of the world's industrialized countries are joined by treaty in something known as the Paris Convention. Essentially, this treaty gives you the right, after filing in a member country, such as the United States, to file in another member country within 1 year, using the date of the original filing. For instance, let's say you applied for a patent in the United States. In the meantime, 6 months later, a French manufacturer learns of your product and decides to apply for a French patent. Subsequently, within the year of your U.S. filing, you also file for a French patent. Because both countries are signatories of the Paris Convention Treaty, your application would take precedence over that of the French manufacturer. Thus, obtaining a foreign patent involves a long, expensive, complicated process, so you shouldn't attempt it at all unless your product idea has global significance. Conversely, if you never file outside the United States, the French manufacturer can copy your product and sell it at will throughout the rest of the world. Exercise 9. What does it mean for art to speak a truth? The concept of truth in art is subjective. It can mean many and different things to each viewer. Does it mean true to nature, true to human experience, true to materials? The answer is yes to all of these and more. Art can be used to replicate nature or reality in the finest detail. Renaissance painters came up with techniques and devices to create a convincing illusion of three-dimensionality on two-dimensional surfaces. Artists throughout history have used their rendering skills to trick the eye into perceiving truth in imitation. Sometimes the tales of their virtuosic exploits survive the work, as in anecdotes recorded on the subject of the ancient Greek painter Apelles. In one such story, we are told that the artist, fearful that other painters might be judged more superior at realistic representation, demanded that real horses be brought before paintings of horses that were entered into a competition. When the horses began to neigh in front of Apelles' work, he received the recognition he deserved. Exercise 10. The great 20th century evolutionary biologist Theodosius Dobzhansky wrote that nothing in biology makes sense except in the light of evolution. All the sizes, shapes, chemistries, and genes of organisms alive today derive from ancestors that can be traced back over billions of years. All of these features have been shaped by the environmental challenges faced by these organisms and their ancestors. If it were not the case that humans share an ancestor with every other species on the planet, there would be no value in performing any form of comparative analysis. There would be nothing that the Escherichia coli bacterium, brewer's yeast, fruit fly, nematode worm, zebrafish, mouse, or chimpanzee could tell us about ourselves. None of these species is our ancestor. They are our cousins, equally distant in time from our common ancestor. It is our shared evolutionary heritage with these species that makes them such powerful model organisms. Exercises 11 and 12. The pay-as-you-throw system, also known as unit pricing or variable pricing, is an economic instrument that tries to regulate the amount of waste generated by introducing marginal costs to the citizen. The idea behind this system is that you pay for your waste fee in correlation to how much waste you actually generate. With the pay-as-you-throw system, you can pay either by the size of the bin you choose to meet your needs or by the weight of the waste. By linking the costs to the amount of waste in this way, you make it more apparent for the citizen that there is a cost connected to throwing away waste. The goal with the system is that the extra cost should work as a motivation factor for the waste generator to decrease the amount of generated waste. This could, for example, be achieved through increased recycling, since collection of recyclables usually is free of charge. The pay-as-you-throw system may have a baseline fee for subscribing to the service and a variable fee linked to the amount of waste, for example, as weighed when collected. The pay-as-you-throw system is considered to be a more fair system, as each citizen only pays for one's own use of the system, compared to the flat rate system, where some citizens that have a low waste generation rate are subsidizing the citizens who have a high generation rate.